What's happening, MJ traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Monday, March 21st. It's a beautiful sunny spring day out there today. I hope you are well. And in today's short video, we're going to be discussing the MJ stock HITI, ticker symbol HITI on the NASDAQ. Going to go over my thoughts and opinions on the stock. It's a stock that I've added to my watch list, and I could be adding to my long-term portfolio as early as tomorrow. Personally, full disclosure, I don't own any HITI at the moment, but I'm starting to get extremely bullish on the stock, both from a fundamental and a technical perspective. But let me know in the comments below if you are bullish or bearish on HITI, if you have that in your long-term portfolio. After that, we're going to look at the earnings results that came out last week, and also going to go over a few different articles here and factors that I think could be very bullish for the retail space and HITI as well. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, subscribe to the channel, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future updates. And like I said, I'll do some technical analysis and some charting on the stock here toward the end of this video. First on the list, so the investor presentation, the investor deck was updated as of March 2022, so this month. I'm not going to go through this just in effort of time. It is pretty lengthy, but it is well done. I would encourage you to go check that out on the HITI website. But I also did a video here. You can see my top 5 MJ holdings, licensed producers. I also do top 5 multi-state operators as well. There's a couple ETFs in there. So I hold personally 5 different MJ stocks at the moment, 2 of which are ETFs. And I'm looking to add HITI to that long-term portfolio as early as tomorrow. I do think it's a great buying opportunity at the moment, and very bullish on the stock going into the weeks and months ahead. We could even see some favorable U.S. Congress bills passing through Congress that could be favorable for the sector and ignite the sector. So we know everything's going to be bearish until we confirm weekly and monthly uptrends, but we're on the verge, and also HITI is in a daily uptrend. So now we need to confirm weekly and then monthly to be confident that we're in a new bull cycle. First thing I want to mention is the Canna Cabana. All of delivery now in Alberta is going to be handled by the retail locations. AGLC, so Alberta MJ website, is now officially closed as of March 8th. They are no longer offering online sales of MJ products, and it's going to be reliant specifically on the retail space. You can see here now in Alberta, delivery on demand, 120 minutes or less, I believe, as long as it's placed before 6:30 p.m. Local time here in Alberta. And like I said, about 2 hours or less. And the delivery fee is $10, $9.99. So I live about 5 minutes away from the store, but certainly great on days where it's -40, -50 here in Alberta, which is pretty common. So that is going to be bullish, I think, for the retail space over the next 6 to 12 months. And also we know that Canada is looking to ease the restrictions. So first thing on the list that Canada is proposing is the hike in purchase limit of MJ infused drinks. But the low THC cap to remain, so the 10 milligrams is still going to be the cap, but that could change over time as well. But I think this is going to be huge. It's going to provide a lot more source of revenue as well for these retailers and help with their margins. Also, HITI's Q1 revenue increases 34% sequentially to $72.2 million. I'm not going to go into the entirety of this, but adjusted EBITDA for the first quarter of 2022 was $3 million compared to $4.6 million for the same quarter last year, so a slight decrease there, but sequentially adjusted EBITDA increased 80% compared to the fourth quarter of 2021. So we're going to take a look at, we're not going to take a look at this in detail, but I want to take a look at the estimates. So we did miss on EPS. It was forecasted at negative 0.1367, and it came in at negative 0.14, so a slight miss there. But I took a look at the revenue estimates. It was 68.88 million. And like I said, coming in at 72.2, that was a pretty big beat. And then on the next earnings for June, they're forecasting negative 0.1167 on EPS and revenue as high as 80.55 million. So slow and steady increase. It's been increasing quarter over quarter, and it's on a nice trajectory. And like I said, very, very bullish on the stock going into the weeks and months ahead, especially if we see some favorable U.S. legalization progress. We could even get safe banking. We have midterms and then the elections coming up in the fall in November. So we could potentially see some movement into April and May, in my opinion, maybe a little bit of a cool off into the summertime where we usually have our summer lull. If the S&P 500 sees a sell in May go away and starts to see a lot of selling pressure as well, potentially entering a bear market, that's going to provide a lot of headwinds on MJ. So again, not completely immune to the market weakness, but I do think MJ can perform even can perform well and maybe even outperform the broader market in a bear market, the broader market bear market, because I think the space is just so beat up and we have so much potential on the horizon. Like I said, with US legalization, we have restrictions easing in Canada and a review of the MJ Act as well in Canada at some point over the next 6 to 12 months. So I'm very bullish on the space at the moment. And we'll take a look at some technical analysis here. So on the monthly time frame, like I said, we have earnings coming up next in June, forecasting 80 million. And if we take a look at the monthly support trend line here, you can see here that we are right on that monthly support trend line, dating back to the all-time low there on high tide at 65 cents. And this is all in USD, as it's the NASDAQ chart. But you can see here we're stuck below resistance, and we're potentially bouncing off of this support trend line here on the monthly time frame. So we have some supports and resistances to be watching. So in terms of supports, we're going to be looking at the low here at 365. After that, we're going to be targeting, if we lose that low, then we're going to be looking down nothing really until that $1.50 area on the monthly time frame, and then the all-time low there at 65 cents. In terms of resistances, we're going to be looking at 589, 798, 995, and the all-time high there at 1329. Like I said, if we can see a monthly candle close outside, it's going to be very telling which way we close a monthly candle out of this resistance and support trend line. We're going to be looking for a potential break, a break above resistance, or a break down below support. And if we do break down below support, that's going to be very bearish, like I said, as we have a lack of support there on the monthly time frame. But personally, I think we're likely due for a bounce here, and we could potentially see a bounce up to that $5 to $6 area in the short term. But theoretically, we could go sideways for another couple of months, just range bound here within this pattern. But if we just take a look at the Fibonacci, and if this is in theory, if this is our low, we have the high, the low of the pullback here at 365. So if we take the Fibonacci and we use the Fibonacci tool and we draw out the high to low, if this ends up being our cycle low, and we start to trend higher from here, if we confirm weekly and monthly uptrends, then we could potentially be targeting all the way up to about $50 if we target that 4.618 Fibonacci extension level. But even the 3.618 would bring us to about $40 and about $30 at the 2.618 and around $20 at the 1.618, which is entirely possible if MJ is starting to enter a new bull market and a new bull cycle. These are generally common areas that we can target once we start to reach new all-time highs in price discovery. So I'm extremely bullish on the stock over the next few years. I don't think it's going to get to those levels next week or anything like that. I think that what we could see is we start to break out. This could potentially be at some point into 2023, 2024. So I'm thinking, the next 1 to 2 years out, we're likely going to see a huge run and rally and bull market in MJ. I think once crypto tops out, we know that historically MJ doesn't run when crypto runs. So if we start to see tech stocks and crypto start to top out and enter a bear market, that's when I'm going to be looking for MJ to really outperform and enter its bull cycle. But like I said, over the next couple of years, I could see a potential target all the way up to that $40 to $50 area on high tide. Very bullish for the long term, like I said, especially with all of these fundamental changes with the MJ delivery in Alberta now being handled by the retailers, and also the restrictions starting to ease, also going to help a lot more with volume and sales and things like that, a lot more units passing through. One thing I wanted to highlight here as well on the weekly time frame, we're starting to gear up here to close over the 10-week moving average. We pretty much closed right on it last week, and you can see that the MACD and stochastic are crossing bullish as well. So I'd want to see a close this week over 443 and attempt a weekly trend change. So we have the low here of the pullback at 365, like I mentioned, high of the bounce at 589, and we're just looking for a weekly high or low. So if we can break 589 from here, that's going to confirm a weekly uptrend, but bulls still have a lot of work to do before that ends up being the case. I did want to highlight here on the daily time frame as well. Like I said, we're in a daily uptrend, so we have the low, high, higher low, and higher highs. So as soon as we broke resistance at 473, we confirmed the daily uptrend. So now we're just looking for a daily higher low here compared to 415. So 415 is going to be key support here in the short term, as that is going to be our daily uptrend must hold level. If we lose that level, then we lose the daily uptrend. and likely can expect more weekly consolidation. But at this point, we know that bulls prove absolutely nothing until we change weekly trends. Daily is great, but we know that the sector has been extremely bearish over the better part of a year now, and we need to confirm weekly and monthly uptrends to be confident that we're entering a new bull cycle. We've also been rejecting at the 100 weekly moving average. It's currently sitting at 493. You can see here that we pulled back from it last week's high. So if we can close a weekly candle over that 493 area, that's going to be extremely bullish. You can see here we attempted to do it back here on the week of February 7th, but straight pullback and a nasty reversal coming back off of that nice green candle that we saw at the beginning part of February. But like I said, if we hadn't changed that weekly trend either. So the difference is if we close above it this time and we head for a weekly trend change, we can confirm the weekly uptrend and a close above that 100 weekly moving average all in one go. That's what we would like to see. Also, we had a little bit of a heads up that we could expect some downside on the chart on the daily time frame. We had a death cross which occurred back here in mid-September, and that occurred when the price was at just under $7. And look where we dropped to after that, all the way down to about 370, that 365 area. So we had all the heads up in the world. We had a heads up back in September, and here we go playing out into January and February, just questioning how much more downside we're really going to see from here. We also had this gap in the chart, which pretty much got filled. We had the high at 338, so not quite filled yet, but close enough in my opinion. I think we can consider that pretty much a close of the gap. And like I said, because of that death cross, already seeing about a 50% downside from when that occurred, certainly thinking that the bottom could be closer than we think, and of the thinking that we could see a macro level reversal here over the next couple of months. We're also holding the 50-day moving average here and back testing it at the moment. So the 50-day moving average is at 446. We closed the day at 442. I'll just refresh that. So 442. So we closed underneath that 50-day moving average. What I want to see tomorrow is that daily support hold there at 415. Get back above that 50-day moving average, and then break to a higher high on the daily time frame, and then we'll be watching that 100-day moving average there at 506. And then the 200-day moving average at 594. But again, we know that bulls must change weekly trends. So as long as we confirm weekly uptrends, that is going to make us extremely confident that the bull cycle is likely just around the corner. And if we can confirm monthly uptrends, that's going to 100% confirm that MJ is back in a bull cycle, which could last, in my opinion, 1 to 2 years. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for an update on high tide. Like I said, going to potentially take a position in the stock tomorrow. Let me know if you're buying, if you're a buyer, if you're a seller. What's your strategy? Are you dollar cost averaging? Are you like me? Is this your first time entry? I always love hearing from you. Once again, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you in the next video.